up on them. We've got to pray for them. A haughty spirit before a fall. What's that haughty spirit? Proud. Disdainful, having a high opinion of oneself. With some contempt with others. In other words, I'll put up with you to a certain point. Lofty, arrogant. To scorn. A man that has an elevated mind. Mean action. One to insult the weak. To apply hatred and anger. Elevated in a place even as a tower of mind. Overbearing in behavior with the air of contempt. Tempered and ill-mannered. What's he saying? Pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. They're coming down. So they're coming down. Next scripture. Proverbs says, better it is to be of a humble spirit with the lofty than to divide the spoil with the proud. Better is to be of a humble spirit. Do you know, I've been thinking of this guy a lot, and Sister Annabelle, I think you go to church with him. The young man at different times over at the service there, not the pastor, he's a nice guy too, but the other fellow, what's his name?
Aaron.
Aaron? Aaron is one of the most humblest, meekest, sweetest human beings there is. He's not boastful, he's not proud, he's very humble. You know who I'm talking about. That is what God's looking for. He will not burst his way in full with arrogance and this and that and knocking other people down. He has the Spirit of Christ on him. What a sweet treatment. I even said to God, I said, God, I'd love for him to come here and I'd like to just pull him out and just say, I want you to see what a humble man is. Somebody say amen.
Amen.
And I've only ever met a few humble men. Right here is another humble man and his wife. Let me tell you something. I dealt with them for many years. I'd always had a bill. Sister Elaine, I'd get behind my bill. Sister Elaine would call me. And she's just so sweet on the phone. And I know you'll get a call. I just thought I'd remind you. So, not knifing me, condemning me. Just so sweet. And I get off the phone and I think, my God. Brother Greg, I mean, that place of business he had so much stuff around to be fixed, and he was a one-man band, and everybody and his brother wants it now. And every time Brother Humphrey comes, I want it now. And he would take and fit me in now, and he's just like a chick, literally running back and forth. And never once did I ever see him get upset. I said, my God. Now, what would have been the case if he'd have been so prideful? And Sister Lane, well, you better get this sticking thing. Better is to be of a humble spirit with the lofty. With the who? Lofty. Somebody's lofty over you, trying to run their act over you. Stay humble.
What's that? Lowly. Lowly.
Huh?
It's lowly.
Lowly. Lowly. What is it? Lowly. How do you know that means? Let me read it. Better is to be of a humble spirit with the lowly. How many of you know sometimes we have to just stick with our crowd? Then to divide the spoil with the proud.
Yeah.
Well, you know, my brother's working for a man that's making some pretty big money. And that man should divide his spoil with him because he's making plenty. But if he don't, this man stays humble. Do you hire me for X amount of dollars? I'll do my job for X amount. I'll keep my mouth shut. So we say amen.
Amen.
Next verse. Whosoever keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from trouble. Whosoever learns how to control his mouth. The book of James speaks on this very much. Whosoever keepeth his mouth, his tongue, whosoever keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from trouble. How many of you ever opened up your mouth because your old flesh got in the way and you blew your top? And then after you blow your top, you realize, oh boy, did I show everybody who I am? I have here on my cell phone, a woman that rents off of me, my brother back there can tell you, She says she's a Christian. And she said here 2 weeks ago that somebody was at her place at 8 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, which was a lie, and she's called me on the phone and cussing me every name you could think of. That showed her fruits. Somebody say amen.
Amen.
She's right now in the process. I had to put her out. I'm not putting up with it. Somebody say amen.
Amen.
Can I stop and just meddle a little bit here? Somebody just called me just 2 days ago and said, "What about the trouble going on at home?" And I said, "It's your fault." Is that woman causing the trouble? No, she's not causing the trouble. But it's her fault because she puts up with the trouble.
Right. It's a nip it.
Anybody still with me? If you put up with the devil, you can't make a peace treaty with the devil. You have to nip it in the bud. Enough is enough. And I'll not put up with it. Whosoever keeps his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul control. Proud and haughty scorners is his name. There you go. Why? You can tell by the mouth. Their attitude, their action. Proud and haughty scorners is his name, who deals with the pride. Like, you do those references, scripture reference, I can read them to you here. We was in Proverbs 16, 18 through 19. It was Proverbs 21, 24, 23 through 24. Then we're going to Proverbs chapter 6, 16 and 19. Where's that at? Somebody say amen. Is anybody getting anything out of this?
Amen.
Amen. Yes.
See, no, that's a little bit too far ahead.
It's Proverbs 6.
Oh, is it? Okay.
That's 16 through 18.
You see, most churches, ministers wants to make a service that makes everybody feel good. And how many of you know you can walk in those kind of services and be living in sin and feel good living in sin because there's no correction in the church? Your ministers listen to me out there?
Right.
You people listen to me out there, you troublemaking little devils? God loves you, but you better straighten up. My Bible says these things, these 6 things does the Lord hate. Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. Now, if you count all those things that the Bible's going to say here, there's 7 things. What is it that God hates so much? He said the 7th is an abomination. The first thing he says, what he hates, is a proud look. I know a woman a number of years ago, I'll leave her nameless. Her and her husband made big money. Her husband's name, they named him Diamond Jim or Jack, whichever it was. He had these big rings. His brother is today, which is still living, which is in the hospital right now, had big diamond rings so big it covers 3 fingers. The wives and stuff, always driving fancy cars and all this and that, and I mean, they're just class. And this woman, that I'll leave nameless, she was so haughty, so prideful, and as true as God is my judge, without exaggerating, my wife can verify it, she actually walked like this. I was in a grocery store and I heard a girl say to the other girl, "What is her problem?" She had a spirit. You could not talk to her because she's elevated. She has everything. She's got the money but things change. Her husband dies. Found out he owned, although he had all these trucks and all this equipment, found out he was really in debt too. She lost everything there was, and she ended up in a wee little pull-along, teeny little camper trailer that you pull like 8 feet wide and about 8 feet long. My wife and I went to visit her and her little daughter, and the 4 of us had trouble sitting in that so-called little trailer. Yet to this day, she has nothing. We had a woman live near us, next door property. I had 2 house trailers that I rented out. One of them was a small house trailer. The woman and her husband, he made big money. He was a mason, so with us and that, and made big money. And they had a brand new brick home. And she came down to Betty, the one that rented our trailer, and knocked on her door, and she started to chew her out. Now, her place was probably at least 250 feet away from where the trailer was. And she told Betty, she said, I'm sick and tired of looking down here at this cracker box. And I'm sick and tired of looking at your curtains. It's time you change your curtains. My kids was not allowed to cross the yard and take a shortcut over to the bus stop. And I went to see her. This is before I was a Christian. I said, Patty, I'm going to tell you something. I said, things change in life. I said, one of these days, I said, things are going to change. You're not going to have nothing, and I'm going to have something. And you're going to have to come to me and ask me for help. She said, me? So-and-so? Ask a Humphrey for help? I don't think so. She lost her home, she lost her marriage, she lost her kids from suicide, and she died not too long ago. Miserable. How many of you know we better take heed of our actions? These 6 things that the Lord hates. Yea, 7 are abomination. The first thing he says is a proud look. Did you ever go someplace and people that's prideful, they walk by you like, but then you see somebody that's humble, meek. Hi, how you doing? How you doing? God bless you. How you doing? Smile at you. And look at you, that stone face. Do you know that's one reason that even before I become a Christian, I refused to go to churches because the ministers I knew were just like that. I did not know a pleasant minister. Not a one. I've seen a couple on television that I liked, and one of them was, his name was Rex Humphrey. Anybody remember old Rex Humphrey? Then another, still living today. Who is he? Billy Graham. Then there's another, Oral Roberts. I've seen love flowing out of these people. But a proud look. These 6 things that the Lord hates, yea, 7 are abomination. Abomination is really, really, really bad. A proud look, a lying tongue. That woman I was telling you about, she stood and came out to me a couple months ago, and her rent is $540, and she's always conniving, trying to get money, and she came out with a paper, and she said, you owe me $5,200 and some dollars. She itemized all kinds of things. I was supposed to stretch the electric cord across the yard to my butcher room, and I sawed some meat up. She charged me $5 for that. My radios that played gospel music, she broke them and destroyed them. She went on and on with this stupid list. And she said, you come in here and sit down now. I want to talk to you. I said to her, who do you think you're talking to? I'm not coming in. She said, you're coming in. I went, put my hands up and walk away. She's running behind. You get back here now! Now I want to talk to you! Why did you not turn around and talk to her, Brother Humphrey? Why? It's a perverse, evil, prideful spirit of hell that I will not pay any time talking to.
That's right.
You can't talk to a drunk. You can't talk to a devil. You can't make allegiance with them. But she thought she could manipulate me and twist me around that I'd humble and bow and pay her. You know what else she said? She wrote this little letter. She said, you made some big money. I never seen anybody selling so many big deer. You want to sell a deer and give me the money and let me live here rent-free. How many of you know that is a prideful, arrogant, demonic spirit? And you have to bring it to a halt. Somebody say, you got to bring it to a halt. A lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked imagination. You know, all kinds of people will set plans how to do things against you. Do you know there's a lot of churches split and ministers have walked away from it because of people in the congregation devising plans to talk to one another and try to hurt one another and get them out of there? guess what? He got a ticket straight to hell. I can name story after story after story. I can tell you a lot of stories. Feet that is running to mischief. Do you know a lot of people just love to hear all these bad news reports? My son said, Dad, I get tired of listening to the news. All you hear is bad reports. But some people just love to hear, did you hear what happened to so-and-so? What? Oh, such and such happened, a bad thing. Oh, he had it deserved. He deserved it. Come on. A minister called me a number of years ago and he said, Brother Humphrey, he said, most people in all the churches, including the devil, would rejoice if you fell. How many of you know it's hard? But I got to keep myself on guard. Go ahead. A false witness that speaks lies. He that soweth discord among the brethren. He that soweth discord among the brethren. Go ahead. Go ahead. We're going to go to 1 Samuel. And this is the calling. And we're going to be closing. I don't have time to go through the whole story, but Israel had a king. God was their king. But Israel said they wanted to be like all other nations. They wanted to have an earthly man to be their king, somebody they could boast on. So God gave them a king. His name was Saul. Not Saul that became Paul. The Bible says that Saul was a head and shoulders higher than all the people. In other words, if you all stood up, from his shoulders up, he was that much higher than everybody else. He'd stand out. We went to China years ago, and we took a black minister along, Isaiah Jones, and he was a real big, tall fellow. And he got lost in China. And everybody on the tour bus said, how are we going to find him? I said, that's no problem. All we got to do is start driving up and down the streets. You'll see him. And I'll tell you, blocks away, you see this black head bopping up and down. He was so much higher and taller than everybody else. And Samuel, the prophet of God, speaks to Saul. And Saul now, after becoming anointed king, now listen to the story, please pay attention. He was such a humble man that when they chose him and God spoke and said, use him as the king, he hid himself under the stuff in the tents. And God had to speak to the prophet and say, he's buried underneath the stuff. He's hiding. He did not want to be seen. He did not want the position. He was very humble, meek. And the Bible says they had to dig him out. And Samuel anointed him to become king. But after he received a position, everybody say after he received a position,
After he received
which is said.
Yep.
How many know that's a truth that most people, once they get a position, it goes to their head.
Amen.
And Samuel the prophet says unto Saul, when thou wast little in thy own eyes, was thou not made the head of the tribe of Israel? And the Lord anointed thee to be king over Israel? The prophet of God's rebuking him. Even though you're a gigantic old man, he's very humble. That's why God chose him. But that position went to his head. I was in the army, went through boot camp with a fellow named Damsel. Went to advanced training with a fellow named Damsel. Went every place, all these other trainings, and finally ended up in Germany with Damsel. And that's very unusual when you're sizable people. And him and I struck up a good brotherhood. When we got to Germany, Damsel was a very nice guy. But he made 3 stripes to become sergeant. Immediately, he was put in position. He became another man. He became a jerk. He let it go to his head. And now he's coming down on me and everybody else. And I told the Damsel, it's only a matter of time. You're coming down. I was a good soldier. I said, I'm going to take your rank and I'm going to put you down on your hands and knees. And I did it. he cried, he said, Humphrey, would you please lay off me? I said, will you learn a lesson? Shut your mouth from now on. He said, yes. You give somebody a position, pastors, look at me. A lot of your churches are nothing but trouble because you gave people positions in your church. And now they try to take over everything in church. You're not in the head anymore. I had somebody recently, when I was making a statement about the Lord, a person said, let's move on. Let's move on. Try and tell me I was out of order. And I had to tell that person, I'm not done speaking yet. How many do they have no right? I was ministering one time on television. A person speaks up. It says, I don't agree with that. I think it says this. How many know they're out of order? We can find all kinds of things like this that happens. It has to be nipped at the bud. So say amen.
Amen.
Let's go now to the conclusion of the whole story. Where are we at?
Well, I got the scriptures mixed up. So you want 1 Samuel 13?
Let's go to 1 Samuel. Chapter 5, 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, chapter 22. 2 Samuel 22. Everybody still with me?
Amen.
Yeah, I didn't know I was going to come to church tonight and be in that kind of an atmosphere. This is nothing but like a military base. I just don't know about all this stuff here, I just want to come and shout and rejoice, and I don't want to go do all of this stuff. Now, how many of you know when God calls you, He calls you in a certain position? He gave a fivefold ministry: pastors, evangelists, teachers, prophets, apostles, for perfection of the saints. If you're not called into that position, don't try to get yourself in that position. Also, let every man abide in his own calling.
Not everybody else makes your calling.
Now, what happens is, we're going to find that Samuel here, he's been anointed king. Samuel, or not Samuel, but Saul has been anointed king. Samuel's the prophet, and Samuel has to offer up a sacrifice before anyone goes to battle. He's the prophet of God. That is his job, to offer up the sacrifice. King Saul, in his prideful spirit, because Samuel did not show up when he thought he should show up, decided he would offer up the offering. How many know that's a no-no? That offering that is only for the Levites, for the prophets of God to do it. And here's somebody that's the king, but he's not called to do that. And because he's being disobedient, the kingdom of God is ripped from him. The Lord says, where I would establish you in your seat forever, it is now ripped away from you. You see, that could have been changed. But he refused to humble himself before God. Instead of getting closer to God because he has sinned, he gets further away from God by rebellion. Can I say that again? People that have a high spirit, they will get so prideful, instead of getting closer to God, they'll get further away from God. 2 Samuel chapter 22, we're going to start with verse 26. No, we're not. It's the wrong page. 1 Samuel chapter 13, starting verse 5. Please excuse me. I want you to see and understand what the story is. Israel is going to battle with the Philistines. How many of you know you're in battle with the Philistines all the time, the devils? Anybody here?
Yep.
The enemy. Verse 5 says, 1 Samuel chapter 13, verse 5. And the Philistines gathered themselves together to fight with Israel. 30,000 chariots, 6,000 horsemen, and people as the sand is up on the seashore in multitude. They came up and pitched at the smash eastward of such and such a place. And when the men of Israel saw that they was in a state, and it was really a horrible position, for the people was distressed. Then the people did hide themselves in caves and thickets and rocks and high places. Now Israel is so shook up because the enemy, so many come upon them, that now they're running away from the enemy instead of running to the enemy to defeat him. How many know we should never run from the enemy? Can I say that again? Is anybody still hear somebody say, yoo-hoo? Yoo-hoo. I was at another church service not too long ago, and a man, he said, if you're still here, he said, you don't have to say nothing, you just take your little finger and go like this. So how many of you are still here, just raise your hand and go, amen, you're okay, you're still here? So they hid themselves in the pits. And some of the Hebrews, verse 7, went over Jordan to the land of Gad to Gilgad. As for Saul, he was not yet in Gilgad, and all the people following him trembled. How do we know? Somebody just prophesied to me the other day about I'll be taking a whole team to Pakistan. How many know I can't? I can't take a whole team to Pakistan as of yet. Why? It was not power packed. Oh, some people would make it. But how many know you go into a Muslim nation where you could get killed very quickly? I just heard yesterday, I guess it was, where another minister was ministering there or someplace else right there.
Yeah.
Oh, Robbie Zachariah was telling the story of it. He said that the other minister said to him, he said, I'm going to die. He said, don't say that. He said, no, he said, I'm going to die. He said, I'm going to be executed. He said a man walked up to him after, he said, just preaching at a small church, and walked up and shot him 8 times in the face.
Oh, and he spoke it before it happened.